Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be making this whale shark. So for the inside of his mouth, I'm using Loops and Threads Impeccable, and this is called Heather. For the whale itself, I'm using this Red Heart Comfort. It's called Denim Flex. Any kind of white will do. This is a Red Heart Comfort that I have, but any kind of white will do. It's just for the belly and for around the mouth here. This is not yarn. We'll get to that. This is what I used. Puffy paint. You can buy this at the dollar store or Michael's. This I bought at Michael's. Dollar store didn't have any. But it's just white puffy paint. And that's what I used to do all of this on everything. And then for the eyes, these are 14mm eyes. I'm using a 4.5 G7 hook for this project. And we are going to start with the inside of the mouth. So we're going to start with the inside of our mouth color. And we're going to start with a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Now if you don't know how to do the magic ring, you can do a chain 2 and put everything into the first space. We are building this in amigurumi, which means there's no slip stitching, there's no chaining. We're going to go straight into this stitch, and your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around. So after your first stitch, that's where the marker goes, and then stitch number 2 can go into that same space in each space around for a total of 12 stitches. Your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 18 stitches. Don't forget your marker goes on number 1, and then we jump right into our increase of 2 single crochets in the same space and repeat. And your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. And this will bring it up to 24 stitches. That's number 1. That's number 2, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. So your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 30 stitches. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets and then your increase. 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 30 stitches. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 36 stitches. That's number 1 with your marker. That's 4 single crochets and then your next stitch gives the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Excuse me. So this is what it should look like. Your next round, we're almost done. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch, and then we're going to do something different than what we've been doing after this next round. So 1 single crochet in each stitch for 36 stitches. So your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase, and we're not following it up this time with a 1 single crochet round. So just the 5 single crochet increase. Counting your marker, that's 5 single crochets, and then your increase in the next stitch is 2 single crochets in the same space. So your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 48 stitches, and that's as far as we go, and then we're going to change to white. That's my 6 single crochets, and then the next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. This is my last stitch and I have to put the increase in here. So on my second stitch, I'm not going to finish it with the heather color. The heather color. I'm going to finish it with my white. Do a color change any way you want to. So, the white. We're going into these back loops with the white. So, back loops only all the way around, and then we're going to change to our shark color. So I'm on my last back loop, and I'm not going to finish it with that. I'm going to finish it with whatever color you're using for your whale shark. So now that we're on the whale shark color, I just want you to do one single crochet in each stitch all the way around. No fancy dancy moves here. So, you're probably wondering why the heck it looks like this. And I'll tell you. So the pointy part we just did is right in there. So it just helps to bring this back. And that's how I chose to do the mouth. So that's why it looks like this. Eventually, this will be poked back inside the whale. So your next round, we're gonna continue to do our increases now because he's a big boy. So 7 single crochet increase is your next increase. And this will bring it up to 54 stitches. That's number 1 with the marker. That is 7 single crochets, and then the next stitch gets an increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So you should have 54 stitches. For the next 5 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 54 stitches. And then we're going to put our eyes in. So this is what you should have. This is what it should look like at this point. And we're gonna put some eyes in now. I want you to take this and pop it through. So that's his mouth. And then I want you to kind of just position it to how, it's gonna be. Make sure this back is even so you know that it's sitting properly. These are 14mm. So they go in on the sides. So if your mouth is sitting accurately, they're about the 4th and 5th row from the mouth. So in the blue, just count the blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and 5. There, and then I did 21 stitches in between, visible stitches. So once you think you've got them in the right spot, put your backs on, and then we can continue. So your next round, we're going to start to decrease. Your next round is going to be 7 single crochets and a decrease. That's number 1. That's 7 single crochets, and then we've got 2 options for decreases. You can do a regular one, which is into the stitch, pull up a loop, into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. Or you can do an invisible one, which is going into the front loop, popping around, picking up the next front loop, yarning over, pulling through those 2 loops, yarning over and finishing the stitch. That leaves these back loops as a filler, so there's less gapping, and that's why it's called invisible. 7 single crochet decrease will bring you down to 48 stitches. Your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and a decrease. This will bring you down to 42 stitches. That's 6 single crochets, that's counting your markers number 1, and then your decrease. And repeat. Starting to look pretty funny. So for the next 4 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 42 stitches. So that's my 4 rows. Find my eyeballs, that's what it should look like. So we're going to continue to decrease. We're going to do a 5 single crochet decrease to 36 stitches. So that's number 1. That's 5 single crochets and then your decrease, whichever one you want. Your next decrease round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 30 stitches. And for now, that's as far as we go. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets and then your decrease. And repeat. So you should have 30 stitches. For the next 14 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these. Where's my eyeballs? 40 stitches. When you're doing your 14 rows on this guy, you're going to start stuffing him. We are going to come back and we're going to give him a lip. So it's not always going to look like this. He's going to get a lip put on, which is why we did these back loops. So we have all these front loops to do his lips. So stuff as you go, and I will meet you right back here after your 14 rows. So that's my 14 rows, and move my marker. I don't move my marker every single time. So I'm just going to finish stuffing mine, and then we can move on. We're going to do the whole body in this first chapter, and then we'll do the fins in the next chapter. The chapters will all be in the same video. If you go down to the description box, you'll see it outlined down there what's going on. So I made sure his head was obviously wide because that's how I built it, but this part seems to grow in size because you add fins to it and everything, so it may look skinny now, but so we're going to keep decreasing. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease. So that's number 1. That's 3 single crochets, and then I'm still doing my invisible decrease. This will bring it down to 24 stitches. So for the next 3 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches. So that's my 3 rounds. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. So bring it down to 18 stitches. That's number 1. That's number 2, and then your decrease. So I should have 18 stitches for the next 3 rows. You're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches. So that was my 3 rows. So we're gonna do 1 more decrease and then a bunch of single rows to finish off this tail, because I don't need any more. So your next decrease, your last decrease, is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 12 stitches. It's number 1, so you jump right into your decrease. So you have 12 stitches. For the next 8 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. I'm just going to take my marker out. Well, when I do multiple rows, I take my marker out of the stitch and I mark the side of it, and then I just count. So it is a lot faster and a lot easier. So for the next 8 rows, you're going to do 12 stitches. So I want to pack this pretty firm at the tail because I'm sewing fins to it. And I know he seems like he's super skinny, but like I said, when the fins go on, he grows in size. And besides, it all depends on how you've stuffed it too. So we are going to fasten off. I didn't really want this to be bigger than my shark, the original great white shark that I did. I wanted it to be roughly the same size. So you just need a cinching tail, because when we sew on our fins, we're going to already have a tail to sew on with. So you don't need much. So you're going to use the front loops only. You're going to go in and then out the next stitch. In the first stitch, out the next stitch, using only the front loops all the way around. Kind of a weird spot here where you fastened off. And then you can pull. So there's going to be fins attached to this. It doesn't really matter what it looks like. So I would just pop across, make your knot. I go in both directions. You don't have to. But wiggle it. It tightens that knot right down. So then you can just weave. Pull that down if you want. But there's going to be fins on here, so it doesn't really matter. So there we go. We've got the body done. So that is the body of our whale shark. The lips shown here are going to be redone in chapter 2. We're not going to do the puffy paint until after everything's on, because it takes literally 2 days to dry. So we're going to have to wait on the puffy paint. So when we come back in chapter 2, we're going to do the belly and the fins, and this guy will be all done. Now chapter 2, like I said, is all still going to be in the same video. It's just going to be split for your convenience. So you can check the description box below and click on any of those numbers to get to where you need to be in the video. And I will see you in chapter 2. Hi guys, welcome back to chapter 2. So we're going to start with the belly. So you just need to get some weight. So we're going to start by chaining 5 and then doing 4 single crochets back up that chain. So you only have 4 working stitches because the 5th one is still on your hook. So you should go right to the very end. And I want you to chain 1 and turn. Now for the next 4 rows, I want you to just put 1 single crochet in each of these 4 stitches. That's my 4 rows. Chain 1, turn your work. So we're going to increase the first stitch and the last stitch of this row. So your increase is still 2 single crochets in the same space. Anything you see on my channel written with brackets is same space, special sequence, or just the number count of the row. So now you're just going to do 2 single crochets across. And in this last stitch, you're going to do an increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Chain 1, turn your work. You should have 6 stitches. You're going to put 1 single crochet in each of those. Chain 1, turn your work. We're going to increase this round, so 2 single crochets in the first stitch. You're going to do 4 single crochets across. And then increase this last stitch with 2 single crochets in the same space. Chain 1, turn your work. And now for the next 3 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 8 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. This next round you're going to do 2 single crochets in the first stitch. You're going to do 6 single crochets across. And then in this last stitch you're going to put 2 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. So for the next 2 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 10 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. So we're going to increase again, of course. We're going to do 2 single crochets in this first stitch, and we're going to do 8 stitches across. And then 2 single crochets into the last stitch. Chain 1, turn your work. You should have 12 stitches, so for the next 2 rows you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. So this is what you should have so far. The next 2 rows are going to be increase rounds. So this first stitch gets 2 single crochets, and then 10 stitches across, and then increase the last stitch. This last stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Chain 1, turn your work. And round 19 is going to be an increase, so 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 12 single crochets across, and then 2 single crochets in the last stitch. Chain 1, turn your work. So you should have 16 stitches. So for the next 7 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 16 stitches. So that's my 7 rows. So I've already chained 1. I'm going to turn my work. We're going to keep increasing. So I want you to put 2 single crochets in your first stitch. And now I want you to do 14 single crochets across. And 2 single crochets in the last stitch. And 2 single crochets in the last space. Chain 1, turn your work. For the next 4 rows, I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches. So your next increase row is going to be 2 single crochets in this first stitch. We're going to do 16 across. And in this last stitch, you're going to put 2 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. So you should have 20 stitches. For the next 14 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 20 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So this is my 14 rows all done. So this is what it should look like. So I've already chained one. I'm gonna fasten off. You need a super duper long sewing tail because you have to sew all the way around. So I'm going to redo my lips using just the posts right above the front loops. So in case you're wondering, why is she doing the lips again, or where did the lips go? Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to finish up my weaving, and then I'm going to go do that. Hopefully it looks better. I think the belly's going to be in the way a little bit, but I think it'll be fine. I'm going to start down there. And I'm just going to grab the post. So that's the post right above my big loosey-goosey loops now. And I'm going to single crochet. I'm not sure if I'm holding this upside down or not. We'll soon find out. No, I'd say that's okay. So I got the tail toward my body. So I'm back around. I'm just going to slip stitch into my first stitch and fasten off. There, that looks so much better. Push my mouth back in. So let's do the tail fins first. Now my last one, I did not stuff my tail fins just because I find when you set it down it kind of gets in the way, but then at the same time I was fixing it all the time. So I think I'm going to stuff these tail fins. So we're going to start with a magic ring of 4 single crochets. So we can get a little bit of a point on this. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch, bringing you up to 8 stitches. So that's number 1, and that gets the marker. Then you can put the second stitch in the same space, and each space around gets 2 for a total of 8 single crochets. I like to pull that close super duper tight. Make a knot just in case it wants to keep opening. but I do weave my straggler. So your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 8 stitches. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase. That's 1 single crochet. And then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. So it could be a total of 12 stitches. And then I want you to follow it up with 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. Let's bring it up to 16 stitches. That's number 1, that's number 2, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. And your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 16 stitches. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase, bringing you up to 20 stitches. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets and then your increase. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 20 stitches. So your next increase round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 24 stitches. That's 4 single crochets and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. So you should have 24 stitches. For the next 3 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So that is it. That's my fin. You can fasten off with a sewing tail. I'm going to put the pattern for the other one up on the screen. I want you to fasten off that with a sewing tail as well. And I'll meet you right back here where we're going to have 2 fins and then we'll get them sewn in place before we move on to the other ones. So I got my 2 fins. Turn my light up a bit too. I got my 2 fins ready. So this is how we're going to kind of do it. We're going to sew these together in just one spot using about 3 stitches. And then it's going to go on just like I did my shark. If you did my shark with me, and then it's going to kind of go on the end of the tail like that. So these 3 stitches will be sewn together and then it'll go over the tail. It's got to go up and down, and then each of these sewing tails will sew on each of those, and hopefully it doesn't look as bad as mine do, but I'm going to stuff mine. So that's what it's going to look like if you don't stuff them. This one's going to be in permanent crooked position because when I set it down, that's what it does. Which was the whole point of not stuffing it, but then it just looks really bad. So I am stuffing these ones this time. But I kind of got to do it more so once they're kind of on the shark and not really before, other than the little tippy tops. So that's about all I'm probably going to do. Now I'm not going to put a whole lot in here. I'm going to make sure the tip is well done though. So I'm going to pack that in there, but I'm not going to pack the rest. I'm just going to kind of hold my hand on it and fill it so I don't overfill. But the tips for sure. So worry about the rest later. We just need to sew these. So you need to make sure that they're kind of going in the same direction. Or, I don't know, same or opposite. Opposite. Well, the same directions, but opposite. Does that make sense? I don't know which way mine goes. Anyway, put them together once you figure out. Oh, it's this one I'm using. Once you figure out. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to. This is on this side, and this is over here. So I'm going to try to keep it even and grab the 3 stitches that I think kind of go with these 3 stitches. But it's only going to be these 3 stitches because I don't think any more is really required. So get your guide. This is very awkward to do, by the way, and my camera doesn't work with me. It's even more awkwarder. That's just going to be my word. So make sure these are going up and down. So there's my belly. Make sure they're going up and down like that. So now that you've got those 3 stitches, I would suggest, which I wish I would have done with my other one, is just kind of go in here and out just to leg it in that spot. But I didn't do that with my other one. So my other one's not exactly in the right spot. So I'm going to go back up the same stitch and I'm going to come out in another place. And if you feel like you need more than 3 stitches, which I may do another one here, then you can go right ahead. I mean, you don't have to stick. I just said 3 stitches just to be on the safe side. You're going to sew them together anyway, but just make sure that you're going down into the body as well. So I'm going to grab some body before I come up into the stitch over here. It's awkward, but that's how I did it. But you can sew yours on any way you want. So now that I've kind of got it in place, I'm pretty sure, I'm going to go down to my next stitch, grab the body, and then grab my other stitch. I'm only going to do that so far though, because then it just becomes out of shape a little bit. So once I think I'm good there, I'm going to pop over here and I'm going to do the same thing. Just to keep the piece, you know what I mean? I know, it's so hard to show you what I'm doing. So first I'm just going to do the stitches on this side. And then I'm going to go down into the body and grab the stitches. So, we can't forget, we need to put stuffing up this. Oh, am I even on camera? I don't even know. So don't forget, these need to be stuffed as well. Just not a whole pile of stuffing, a little tiny bit. So I think I'm far enough down that I'm not going to keep using, like, going through both sides. So I am just going to pop over here and I'm just going to start to sew normally, because if I keep pulling on that other one, it's going to be out of shape. Sorry, I'm struggling to show you what I'm doing. So now I'm just going to sew like a normal person. I'm going to sew like a normal person as opposed to an abnormal person. So if you did my shark with me, my great white shark, then you know already how to do this tail. Alright, so I've come up in the same hole and I'm going to do my usual. Tie my knots. So try not to do a tight first knot, just a second one. And then I'm going to weave. So that's just to pull the knot in. Other than that, you don't have to weave. And I go in 2 different directions so that knot gets sucked down inside your shark. And the fins are tied together, so nobody's pulling anything off. So there we have it. So let's move on to the we'll do the pectoral because there's 2 of those, and then the dorsal fin we can do together. Oh, there's the little anal fins too, so we'll get those done as well. They kind of go down here, so we'll do those little guys next. So the what I called an anal fin, it's called a back dorsal fin, and it sits. So an anal fin would sit like this, but these back dorsals sit on either side, like that, at the back. So I was wrong. I called it an anal fin. I'm actually not making an anal fin, but if you are, it'll be about the same size as this. But we're just going to do the back dorsal fins. They're super small and they're super quick, so I thought I would just kind of stick that in. So you're going to do a magic ring of 4 single crochets. Again, if you're not happy to do the magic ring, then do as chain 2 and put 4 single crochets into that first stitch. Your first round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. I lost my stitch marker somewhere. So this will give you 8 stitches. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. And this will bring it up to 10 stitches. So then I just want you to do 1 single crochet in each of those 10 stitches. My stuffing is literally this tail. I didn't put anything in there. I'm just going to count to 10 instead of using my marker. So you can fasten off. That is it. Little tiny thing. We're going to whip stitch this closed. There we go. I'm going to put the pattern up and you can get your other one done and meet me right back here. So now that you've got yours done, they sit right back here. I'm just going to use the white belly as a reference as to where to sew them on. And they kind of stick out like that on either side. So that's what we're going to do. So I only mattress stitch the top and don't worry about the bottom, because if I did, it would pull that back down. And I kind of want it to be sticking up. So then I just go down into this corner. And I weave, making sure to come up into a hole so that I can tie these two together as well. So I'm just going to kind of meet up with my two pieces. So the next fin we're going to do is this guy. This is called the pectoral fin because it comes off of his chest, which are his pec muscles. So the shape is more in the stuffing than it is really the crochet. I do a little bit of crochet to make it this shape, but you kind of accentuate it in the stuffing. But that's what we're going to do next. And then I am going to whip stitch this shut, but we'll get to that after we make it. So we start with a magic ring and a chain 4. A chain 4? A magic ring and 4 single crochets? You know, I could edit that out, and I'm just not, because sometimes you just have really stupid days. Yeah, today's my day. Certainly is. Anyway, 2 single crochets in each stitch around. That's your next round. So you should have 8 stitches. You're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase, and this will bring it up to 12 stitches. That's number 1 with your marker. And then we jump right into our increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. I'm going to zoom out just a touch so I don't keep wandering off camera. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an 1 single crochet in each stitch for a total of 12 stitches. So this is where we're going to start to put some shape into it. Your first round is going to be your first bunch of stitches. It's still going to be the same round, but I want you to do 5 single crochets. That's 5 single crochets. So this next stitch, I want you to put 2 single crochets in each space, and then 6 single crochet takes you back to your marker. For a total of 13 stitches. Your next round is going to start with 6 single crochets. That's 6 single crochets. This next stitch will get an increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and then 6 single crochets takes you back to your marker. For a total of 14 stitches. Your next round is going to start with 6 single crochets. Don't forget to count your marker as number 1. Then you're going to do 2 single crochets into this next space, and then 7 single crochets back to your marker. For a total of 15 stitches. Round number 8, you're going to start with 6 single crochets. The next stitch is going to get the increase. And then you're going to have 8 single crochets back to your marker. For a total of 16 stitches. Your next round is going to start with 7 single crochets. Then this next stitch gets the increase, and 8 single crochets back to your marker. For a total of 17 stitches. Your last round is going to be 8 single crochets, then the next stitch gets the increase, and 8 single crochets back to your marker. So you should have 18 stitches. For the next 8 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So I'm just going to fasten off and then put a little bit of stuffing in it, and I'll meet you right back here. So you should have both of yours done. These are mine. Now they're just slightly stuffed, like they're not stuffed very much. I just kind of pressed on them while I shoved the stuffing up there just so I didn't overstuff them. They do look full, but they're not. So we're going to whip stitch these closed. Just to make our lives easier for sewing on. If you prefer to sew yours on open, then that's certainly an option. So do you see how the shape that they are? That's because a shark's fin let me zoom out a bit. Out. So there's my eyeballs. So a shark's fin actually goes away from the shark. So this little bends away from the shark, like that. I'll show you what I'm working with here. So that's how you're going to sew them on. And I'm going to do the whip stitch thing because it's a really good hold. Now my only problem is where. I kind of want to keep them even with the eyes. So it's just a matter of figuring it out. Oh, and then I just moved it. So, and how far down? So I don't want to go that far down because the dorsal fin, which does not sit above, it kind of sits back here a bit. I want to leave room for that, which is why he is so long. Just trying to squeeze everything in here. So I'm about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 10th row from his lip, roughly. So it should be able to pull without breaking your yarn if you're using acrylic. If you're using anything other than that, it's going to break. So I am not doing the other side as usual. But I don't like squared off corners, so I'm going to go into this corner. And I'm going to pull it down and pop out near the other corner. Oh, I get it in. And then I'm going to go into this other corner, pop down, and then just pop out wherever I pop out. And that's it. So then you just got to get the other one even. So again, I'm going to kind of walk this up here because I'm going to join them together. There we go, we're just about finished. So now you can kind of see why I had to make him so skinny, because now he's getting pretty big with his fins all on. It turns into a great big dude. Now I would have thought his pectoral fins would have been bigger for the size of shark or whale, whatever it is. But I would have thought His fins would have been bigger, but they're not. They're actually quite skinny. Last but not least is this dorsal fin, and then the puffy paint, and then all the design that has to go on. So this dorsal fin starts with a magic ring of 4 single crochets. First round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch, just like all the other ones. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 12 stitches. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. So we're going to shape this again. We're just going to shape it differently than what we shaped our other fins. So this first round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase 2 times. So that's number 1. That's 2 single crochets, and then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Now repeat that for a second time. And now you're going to have 6 single crochets back to your marker. And a total of 14 stitches. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. You're going to do that twice. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets, and then this next stitch gets your increase. That's 1 time. Do it again. Three, increase. And now 6 single crochets back to your marker. So you should have 16 stitches. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. That's 1 time. Do it again. And then 6 single crochets back to your marker. So that's a total of 18 stitches. Your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase 2 times. That's number 1. That's 5 single crochets, and then your increase. Do it again. Five, and then an increase. And now 6 single crochets back to your marker. So you should have 20 stitches. Your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase 2 times. That's 6 single crochets and then your increase. Do it one more time. And then 6 single crochets back to your marker. So you should have a total of 22 stitches. Last round, well, not last round, last weird round. It's going to be 7 single crochets increase 2 times. That's 7 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Another 7 single crochet increase. Seven increase. And now 6 single crochets back to your marker gives you a total of 24 stitches. So your last round will be 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches. So you can fasten off sewing tail. So I stuffed this, but I did not whip stitch it. I actually sewed it on open, but it's completely up to you what you want to do. So the lean, the straight part goes toward his head. The lean goes on the other side. It's on the 16th row, and our fins started on the 10th. So it is back. Okay, now we whip out our puffy paint. We have to really, really shake it well. So, find a picture of a whale shark for starters. This was my last whale shark. His whole head are dots. It isn't until I start getting down to the fin area that these lines start to appear. And then we do dots in between lines. So I just did squiggly lines. Like, I didn't make it uniformed because I think the shark probably isn't uniformed. So, and then I just did spots on the fins because that's all it looks like he has in real life. It's just spots on his fins. So, this stuff is so awesome to work with. So you just start marking wherever you want to mark. You can make it as big or as small as you want. Now this is going to take 2 days to dry. But when it dries, you're still going to be able to feel it because it's puffy paint. And like I said, you can get it at Michael's, or like, you can go as fast as you want with this stuff. And you don't need to make it uniformed. Anyway, I got mine at Michael's. But I do know that some dollar stores sell them. So, and then I started just doing lines. But I made them all squiggly wiggly, and then I did some dots, and then I did lines. So, I mean, nothing about this is uniformed. I need a stand though. I can't just keep having them on my mat. So I got them up on my headphone box, just because I don't want to be touching him. I didn't do under the fins either. So there we have it, all done. So I'm just gonna let mine dry. It takes about 2 days to completely dry and cure, and still keep the texture. So I'm just gonna let mine sit and dry. But thanks so much for joining me, and thank you so much to Hazards 1GN440 for requesting the whale shark. I appreciate it, and I hope you like it. I will see you guys in the next video.